If you look at the creature sleeping at the foot of your bed, twitching its paws in a dream, you might see a goofy, lovable companion that depends on you for everything. You see a pug struggling to breathe, or a golden retriever chasing a tennis ball with a level of enthusiasm that seems almost delirious. It is easy to forget what you're actually looking at. You're looking at a biological machine that has been radically re-engineered from one of the most efficient apex predators the Earth has ever produced. Beneath that floppy-eared exterior lies the skeleton, the instincts, and the sensory hardware of the gray wolf. But the dog is not just a tame wolf. It is an evolutionary masterpiece of adaptation that has done something no other large mammal has ever achieved. It infiltrated the human world. While the tiger remained in the jungle and the bear stayed in the cave, the ancestor of the dog walked out of the cold and into the firelight of humanity. To survive here, it had to undergo a biological transformation so extreme that it rewrote its own genetic code, altered its digestion, and even hijacked the chemical pathways of the human brain to ensure survival. This transformation created an animal that is a paradox. It is a carnivore that thrives on starch. It is a pack hunter that prefers the company of an alien species over its own. And it possesses a nose so sensitive it can detect the past, the present, and the future all in one single breath. How did a fearsome predator evolve into a creature that can read our facial expressions better than a chimpanzee? Why do they come in more shapes and sizes than any other mammal on the planet? And is it true that they love us, or have they evolved the perfect biological mask to manipulate us? Evolutionary origins. To understand the dog, we have to go back 20,000 to 40,000 years to the frozen landscapes of Pleistocene. The prevailing myth is that humans kidnapped wolf puppies and trained them to be guards. A wolf is a dangerous, high-anxiety animal that consumes massive amounts of meat, a resource that early humans could not afford to waste. Instead, most evolutionary biologists now support the theory of self-domestication. It wasn't the strongest or most aggressive wolves that survived near human camps. It was the friendliest. A small population of wolves possessed a genetic variation that lowered their flight distance, also known as the fear response to new species. These bolder, less aggressive wolves scavenged the food scraps left by humans. Over generations, this selection for tameness triggered a cascade of physical changes known as domestication syndrome. As adrenaline levels dropped, their adrenaline glands shrank. Because adrenaline shares a biochemical pathway with pigmentation, their coats developed white patches, their snouts shortened, their ears became floppy, and their tails curled. This wasn't human engineering. It was natural selection favoring the chilliest wolves. This divergence created a new lineage called Canis lupus flareus. Where the wolf remained a specialist hunter of large game, the dog became a specialist in navigating the complex social world of humans. Evolution traded the wolf's raw biting power for problem-solving independence for a new kind of genius, or social intelligence. They didn't just learn to tolerate us, they learned to read us, creating a symbiotic relationship that would allow us to outnumber wolves by a ratio of thousands to one. Sensory biology. We navigate the world through sight. We see a coffee cup, we see the sunrise, but the dog navigates the world through a landscape of odors that we cannot comprehend. When the dog walks into a room, it doesn't smell pizza. It smells the flour, the yeast, the tomato sauce, the oregano, and the hands of the person who knead the dough, and the subtle decay of the trash can in the corner. They are effectively seeing with their noses. The anatomy of a dog's nose is a marvel of fluid dynamics. When we inhale, we breathe the air into our lungs and we only smell it on the way out. When a dog inhales, a tissue fold called the alar fold separates the air. One stream goes into the lungs for breathing, but a separate, optimized stream goes directly to a recess in the back of the nose, filled with olfactory receptors. This air is trapped there, allowing the dog to continue analyzing the scent even while exhaling. To put the scale of this ability into perspective through comparative biology, let's look at the numbers. A human has about 6 million olfactory receptors. A sheepdog has over 3 million. Their part of the brain dedicated to analyzing smells is 40 times larger than ours. It is estimated that the dog's sense of smell is 10,000 to 100,000 times more acute than humans. If you could see as well as the dog could smell, You could see a single fly buzzing on a wall 3,000 miles away. They can detect a teaspoon of sugar in 2 Olympic-sized swimming pools. This allows them to smell things we consider intangible. For instance, they can smell the passage of time by the decay of molecules in a room, and they can smell fear, detecting the subtle chemical shifts in our sweat before we even know we're afraid. Digestive physiology. One of the most significant biological rifts between the wolf and the dog is hidden deep in their DNA, specifically in how they process dinner. Wolves are true carnivores. Their systems are designed to process protein and fat. If you feed a wolf a bowl of rice or potatoes, it will struggle to survive. But as dogs began living alongside humans, they were eating our leftovers. And as humans developed agriculture, those leftovers became increasingly rich in starch. Their dietary shift drove a massive genetic mutation. Humans and dogs both possess a gene called AMY2B, which codes for amylase, the enzyme that breaks down starch in our gut. Wolves typically have 2 copies of this gene. But as dogs evolved alongside Argarian humans, they multiplied this gene. Modern dogs can have anywhere from 4 to 30 copies of AMY2B. This seemingly small genetic tweak was a revolution. It allowed dogs to extract energy from grains, beans, and potatoes, foods that are essentially useless to their wolf ancestors. This adaptation is a striking example of convergent evolution with humans. Just as we evolved to digest lactose and grains as we started farming, our dogs evolved right alongside us to eat the bread we baked. It turned them from strict carnivores into functional omnivores, allowing them to spread across the globe with us, surviving on whatever scraps we threw their way. Whether it was seal blubber in the Arctic or rice in Asia. Hacking the human brain. There's a specific behavior that dogs do that wolves almost never do. They look us in the eye. In the animal kingdom, and particularly among predators, direct eye contact is a threat. It signals aggression. Wolves avoid eye contact with humans, but dogs have learned to use it to hijack our maternal instincts. When a dog stares in your eyes, your brain releases oxytocin, the love hormone that bonds mothers to their infants. But here's the insane part. The dog's brain also releases oxytocin. This creates a positive feedback loop, a biological circle of affection that mirrors the bond between parent and child. No other animal has been found to synchronize with human hormonal systems in this way. This ability is supported by a specific anatomical evolution. A 2019 study found that dogs have evolved a specialized muscle above their eyes. This is called the levator anguli oculi medalis, which allows them to raise their inner eyebrow. This creates the puppy eyes look, making their eyes appear larger and more infant-like. Wolves do not possess this muscle. They just have a tendon there. Dogs literally evolved a dedicated facial muscle to manipulate human emotions. It turns out that their cuteness isn't an accident. It is a highly specialized survival adaptation designed to make us take care of them. Scientific research, the fMRI study. For centuries, we have asked, do dogs actually love us, or do they love the food we give them? In 2012, Gregory Burns, a neuroscientist from Emory University, decided to answer this question using hard science. He did something that had never been done before. He trained fully awake, unrestrained dogs to lie perfectly still and allowed claustrophobic fMRI machine to scan their brains. Burns wanted to map the dog's reward system, or the cadulate nucleus. He exposed the dogs to various scents: their own scent, the scent of a strange dog, the scent of a strange human, and the scent of their familiar human owner. If the dogs were only interested in food, the owner's smell shouldn't trigger a massive response compared to other interesting smells. What he discovered was stunning. The scent of a familiar human triggered the strongest activation in the cadulate nucleus of all the scents tested, even stronger than the scent of fellow dogs. In subsequent tests, he found that for many dogs, the reward center lit up as much for praise, good boy, as it did for a hot dog. It proved that to a dog, their human is not just a food dispenser. We are a primary source of social and emotional reward. Their brains prioritize us above their own species. It was the first biological proof that the bond is real, and it is reciprocated. Genetics. Look at a Great Dane standing nearly 3 feet tall at the shoulder. Now, look at a Chihuahua, which can fit into a teacup. It is biologically insane that these two animals are the same species. In fact, dogs exhibit more morphological diversity, or more variety in size, shape, and color, than any other mammal on Earth. How could a single species be so plastic? The secret lies in a peculiar structure of the canine genome. Dogs' DNA is packed with tandem repeats, or short sequences of DNA that repeat over and over. These sections are prone to high rates of mutation during replication. These slips and stutters in a genetic code allow for rapid evolutionary change. A small mutation in a gene like IGF-1, or insulin-like growth factor 1, can dramatically change the size of an animal. This genetic elasticity allows humans to mold the dog like clay. In just a few hundred years, which is a blink of an eye in evolutionary time, we stretched them into greyhounds, shrunk them into toy poodles, and flattened them into bulldogs. We exploited this slippery genome to create tools for every possible task: flushing birds, fighting badgers, herding sheep, and sitting on laps. But this rapid molding came with a heavy price. By selecting for extreme shapes, we often inadvertently selected for genetic diseases, creating a population that is incredibly diverse on the outside, but often fragile on the inside. Behavioral intelligence. We often judge animal intelligence by human standards, and by those standards, dogs are surprisingly brilliant. Specifically, they understand human gestures in a way even our closest relatives, the chimpanzees, do not. If you hide food under one of 2 cups and point to the correct cup, a chimpanzee who shares 98% of our DNA will be confused. They do not understand that your finger is communicating information. They look at your finger, not where it's pointing. A dog, however, will immediately look at the cup you're pointing at. This is known as receptive communication. Puppies as young as 6 weeks, with no training, can understand human pointing. This suggests that the ability to read human body language is innate, or hardwired into their brains over thousands of years of coevolution. This cognitive skill is specific to the dog-human bond. Even wolves, raised by humans from puppyhood, struggle with this pointing task. Dogs have evolved a theory of mind that is specifically tuned to us. They know that we know things, and they look at us for information. When a wolf encounters an unsolvable problem, like meat in a locked box, it will try to smash the box until it gives up. When a dog encounters the same problem, it will try for a few seconds, then turn and look at its human. They are effectively saying, "I can't do this, I need your help." They have outsourced their problem solving to us, a strategy that is arguably smarter than doing it themselves. Conservation crisis. While dogs as a species are not endangered, because there's nearly 1 billion of them worldwide, the biological integrity of the dog is facing a crisis of our own making. In our quest to design the perfect pet, we have pushed their biology to the breaking point. The most tragic example is the brachycephalic, or flat-faced breeds like the pugs and French bulldogs. We have bred them to have flat faces because we find it cute. It resembles the flat face of a human baby. But biology doesn't care about cute. It cares about oxygen. These dogs have skulls that have been shortened, but the soft tissue inside, like the tongue, the palate, and the throat, has remained the same size. It is like trying to stuff a king-size sheet into a shoebox. The result is brachycephalic obstructive airway syndrome. These dogs are essentially suffocating their entire lives. They cannot pant effectively to cool down, putting them at constant risk of heat stroke. Their eyes bulge out of their shallow sockets, prone to injury. This is the dark side of the dog's malleable biology. We have taken a creature designed for endurance running and twisted it into a shape that can barely breathe, all for the sake of aesthetics. It is a biological tragedy that highlights the immense responsibility we hold over the genetic future of our best friends. The mirror of humanity. The dog is the only animal that has seen us at our best and our worst. They sat by our campfires when we were cave dwellers. They marched with our armies as we built empires, and they sleep in our beds in the modern age. They are a biological mirror. When we fast, when we needed protectors, they became massive and fierce. When we became lonely in our concrete jungles, they became small and affectionate. They are a testament to the power of connection. They prove that survival isn't always about being the biggest, the strongest, or the most vicious. Sometimes, survival is about cooperation. It is about empathy. It is about finding a friend in a scary world. As we look back at the dog sleeping at your feet, realize that you're not just looking at a pet. You're looking at a creature that broke the barrier between species. They are the wolves that chose love over fear. And in doing so, they didn't just survive, they thrived. They became the most successful large mammal on Earth, next to us. And perhaps, in their unwavering loyalty, they teach us something profound about what it means to be human, that we are truly never alone, as long as we have the dog.